Zoom meeting. Here we go. Giving consent. Going live on YouTube with Tooltip Tuesday. Here we go. Going live with Jennifer and Julia. Yay. Here we go. All right. Hi, Julia.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. So, welcome to Tooltip Tuesday, everybody. It's so exciting. I'm Jennifer Stenhouse from Little Metal Foxes, and I've got Julia also
from Little Metal Foxes. Yes.
And we are very excited today because we have gotten a few bench pins to test out, and we are going to sort of talk about some of those and some options for doing some adaptations and what and why and how and all the tips.
Why is the bench pin such a key thing, right? Like why do jewelers use a bench pin as opposed to just use the edge of the table?
Yeah, exactly, right.
I imagine they started using the edge of the table.
That's probably why. And they were like, if we just had
I'm cutting up the edge of my table, I should probably get a disposable piece of wood to use instead.
If I just clamped a piece of wood to the edge of the table, this would all not be a problem.
It would be so much easier.
Working, and his wife was like, will you please stop drilling holes in the top of the table?
Yeah.
Can't you just clamp something on there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm being silly, but yes.
Okay. Probably how it all started.
Probably. That is probably how it all started.
Necessity is the mother of invention. So
indeed, as always. Okay, so did you want to start by talking about these?
Yes, let's do that. So Donovan Ball from Donovan Designs on Instagram sent us some prototypes to test out, Donovan's Customs.
Donovan's Customs.
At Donovan's Customs. And these are very cool. He does a lot of bench work, a lot of stone setting and filing and stuff. So he designed these a couple of different ways, and this is a prototype that he's been working with that he wanted us to test out. So we're going to do that. It's got a couple of cool features to it. It's got a little place up here for small parts and a little place here you can kind of set your stones while you're setting. And then it's got this crazy little drawer. Well, it's like a little Barbie-sized drawer.
Right.
Just, boop, right in the side. And it has like a little thumb place on the other side where you can kind of get that in there. This was designed, so I asked him if we could get it designed for our clamp-on bench pin.
So it would fit in this type of clamp-on anvil type bench pin.
So he made it with the tang and stuff, the right length.
Narrower. He made it narrower and thinner. Yeah, it could be a little longer. This one is, the wooden one comes all the way out to the back end.
Right.
And the plastic one, the 3D printed one, doesn't quite come all the way out. And to my mind,
some of mine don't come all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would. I mean, obviously the table's going to be holding it here, but it would probably be better to have it a little bit longer if that's possible.
Well, the couple of other things that are kind of interesting of note on this is there's like little finger grippy doos for holding things, a place for cutting like ring shanks and tubing, so you can kind of lay your tubing in here and cut it. You can do your ring shank, for sizing and filing, which I think is kind of cool. You can put your ring clamps in these sections, and he designed it so, because I'm right-handed and Julia's left-handed, so he sent us a couple of different prototypes to test out. So one of the things that is kind of cool about bench pins in general is that they are consumables in the studio. And I think a lot of people don't consider them consumables. They have like one and they're like, oh no, it's gone. It's like, get 3 more so that you can use them and adapt them and
to whatever your needs are.
Right. Yeah. Because they're going to get filed and cut into and drilled into.
Yeah. They should be cut into and drilled into. That's their purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
And modified to for the work that you're doing and for the handedness that is predominant for you. So I've run into this actually with students, because when students take classes at a place like the Pratt Fine Art Center, where Jennifer and I used to teach, they'll find that they'll come in and the bench pins will already be pre-cut, right? They'll already have a notch in them. And then they'll go to buy one and they're like, wait, why is it just a solid piece of wood? And I'm like, because it's a blank canvas. You get to cut it, you get to do whatever you want to make it the shape you want it to be.
Do I cut it? And I'm like, well, do you have a saw? It's like, Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
and you can cut it.
yeah,
I just have used like a hacksaw to cut these, or
right.
any wood saw, but you can also just use a fairly big saw blade in your jeweler saw and
Yeah,
cut it into any shape that you want.
exactly. Yeah.
So that's
And
the first thing, right? Like,
I'll use, yeah, because I'll use it
bench
for
bend.
smaller piercing, larger piercing, use it for, cutting and filing small parts. So I have like a little notch that things will click into and I can kind of use that. This is kind of a little V form here where I can like lay tubing and wire and then do some filing in that. And a lot of people don't realize that it has two positions. One is for sawing and
Mhm.
one is for filing. So
Right.
it's really important that you're kind of if you're filing, it's usually going to be in this position. And for a lot of bench,
To give you a better angle on the work, right? So
yeah,
that you don't have your wrist like this. You have your arm more like this when you're filing. Yeah.
yeah, when you're filing, you're going like this, and when you're sawing, you're going straight up and down. So you
Right. But it's also important that you have the flat side up for sawing, because then the piece that you're working on isn't falling off into your lap, right? You're
and
not
you're
trying to
cutting it
control that.
perpendicular, so you're
Right.
cutting a straight angle.
Right.
One of the things that is interesting about Donovan's bench pen is that because he does a lot of stone setting and filing and stuff like that, it's designed to be in this position.
Mm-hmm.
You can turn it over and use it that way, but the little drawer, we were like, well, the little drawer will, if it comes open, everything will fall out.
Everything will
But
fall out of it.
yeah,
Yeah. So one of my suggestions with that was, if you really want to have
mhm,
the drawer, because the drawer has a trapezoidal, or it has a non-rectangular shape. And so I was like, well, if you have a rectangular shape that you
yeah.
could flip it over, then you could, because yeah, you don't
Well,
want to open it when it's in the upside down position.
yeah, but this is really designed for the kind of work that Donovan does,
Mm-hmm.
which is using the ring clamp, stone setting, filing, shaping, doing those kinds of things.
Right.
This really isn't designed for sawing, which is interesting. Um, so this kind of bench pen, I got this a while back. It was another um, small studio that was doing some 3D printing stuff, and I thought, huh, let's give it a try. It's 3D printed. I'll give it a whirl. And you can see with this one, and if you've got a 3D printer and you can print your own, versions of bench pens, great. They're really handy. I'll tell you that Donovan's is a really high impact resin that he's using.
Or
So
high density. I don't know. It's pretty heavy.
it's very heavy duty.
And
Um,
it's solid. It's
yeah,
solid in this portion. Obviously, it's not solid where the little drawer is, which
right.
also is one of my issues, in that I'm a little worried that it's, you know,
It's pretty high impact plastic
yeah,
though.
it
I
is.
mean,
It is. It does
for
flex
resin,
a bit more
it's
than the
resin.
wood
Yeah.
for me.
So
So
he said he had tried a couple of different colors and he was trying to make this sort of a wood color and it came out kind of a putty pink. And he was
I
like,
know
huh.
putty pink, which
My
it,
comment was I'd rather have it a higher contrast so that it's easier to see stuff.
hmm,
But he was looking for something that was like neutral, like like a regular bench pen. This one though is 3D printed and it's printed with like a regular 3D printer. It's very lightweight because it's hollow
yeah,
and
not ideal.
not
Yeah.
ideal. One of the problems, and I think if you're using this just to sort of clamp, if you're, beginner and you're learning to saw and doing that kind of thing, and you're using this to clamp on to a bench, this might work. Or if you're using it like in a GRS thing, it might be great. I don't know if you'd be a beginner with a GRS system, but
Probably not.
the problem with it is that it's maybe got some honeycombing on the inside, but I was gonna trim it down so I could test it in my clamp on, and the tang I realized was too short, but it was also too wide, and I was like, well, maybe I could just cut into it to thin it down to fit into my bench pen, and I was like, well, I wonder, like this is hollow, and I drilled a hole in it, and it went zoop, straight through the back because it's only a couple of millimeters thick. I was like, huh,
So you're worried that if you cut the edge off,
it's going to be hollow.
it would collapse.
It won't
Right.
have anything. And I could see, I mean, I can see how thin the wall is, and it's a couple of millimeters thick. It's not,
Yeah.
so it's, I mean,
So
you can,
too much flex, too much bounce.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it definitely has. I mean, I could, it doesn't flex so much this way as I could feel it flexing like a hollow core door. It's like,
Ah,
I can feel it flexing this way. I'm like,
Gotcha,
oh,
gotcha, gotcha. When you apply pressure on both
yes.
sides, you feel it.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I can, it flexes that direction as well.
Ah, yeah, that's not
Yep.
ideal.
So, but I mean, for basic sawing and stuff, if you've
Mhm.
got, like I said, a bench pen that you can kind of, or just a clamp that you can clamp this to a bench. You're just starting out. This might be nice. It's kind of like the Barbie version of, of of a bench pen. But one of the things that I think a lot of people forget is how adaptable these things are, that you can file into them, drill into them, shape them into what you want them to be, cut out the shapes that you
Well,
need.
and that's, you can change the shape of this, right? Because this
Yeah.
one is solid,
Yeah.
then this could be cut and
Yeah.
altered to change it, which is good, right? Because then you can manipulate it to make it fit whatever work you're doing specifically.
Right. Yeah. But
I
and
mean,
with wooden ones, and
Donovan
these are
has
so
gone
expensive.
got you a start here by cutting out these notches
Yeah.
for,
But the thing is, these are so inexpensive.
yeah.
They're a couple of bucks a piece. And if you've got some wood, you can make one yourself. But, having one that's, a blank slate, as you said, to be able to, cut and manipulate on your own, and work with. And I've had a few that, and all of us, I think, are guilty of this, is drilling into our bench pen just because it's there. And we're like, oh, yeah, da, 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 da. And then you end up with all the holes in the bench pen. Amy, down at Tacoma Metal Arts Center, uh, I walked in one day and I was like, well, the bench pens look like they're brand new. What'd you do? And she goes, oh, her husband, Anthony, would come in once every, maybe twice a year, and take all the bench pens, vacuum them all out, and fill them with wood putty, and then
Good
sand
filler.
them.
Yeah.
And so they're actually stronger than they were before. And then they put like drilling blocks all over the tables so that
That's what I
everybody
have.
won't drill into the bench pens. But it extends the life of these. And so in a place, especially a teaching center where you've got, a lot of people working with them and drilling into these, and you want to extend the life of these, go for it. It just
Right.
makes them stronger. And if you've got one you really love the shape of, that you're using a lot, it just extends the life of that bench pen. But I had somebody go, well, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just get a new bench pen? And it's like, sometimes this is just the perfect part here,
Mm-hmm.
and you've just drilled too many holes in it. It's like,
Well, and it gets annoying because the holes, like beads
a
and
lot.
stones and things will get caught in there. Lemel, the saw kerf will get caught in there, and sawdust, and it's
Yeah,
annoying, right? It's like,
right,
God damn it, I can't get something's fallen down in, I can't get it out.
right.
So if you fill up the holes, then you don't have that problem.
Right, right. One of the other ones that I've got, speaking of like flipping it over for sawing and filing, is this guy, and
Mhm.
this is the filing block. It's a rubber filing block, and the nice thing about this and the bench pen and anvil like this one, is that they're very inexpensive. This one I think is what, like $12 or something. They're not
Yeah, I
expensive.
think I think this is one of my favorites, but you have too, the bench pin anvil combo that just bolts onto it just clamps onto the bench. I think it's like $20 or less,
Yeah, like $18. Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
expensive.
And it's a good, I mean, it's a well-designed tool. One of the things I really like about this is that the top of the flat side of the pin is level with the block. So if
Right.
you're sawing a piece of metal that's bigger than the surface area of this, it can extend over here. I
Yeah.
know you like to work on things and just slide them over onto
Yeah.
the block.
And that's definitely an advantage, I think, over, somebody was asking us about the difference between like this and the GRS system.
Mhm.
And whatever works for you, great. But I like the fact that this gives me a little more surface area to saw with. And it's a little, and the GRS system is incredibly versatile. It's also very expensive. And so for a lot of people starting out, it's like, do I really need something that's that expensive? Although it's versatile, I can use, if I've got a small working area, I can use it for
Right.
soldering, and, use it for my engraving ball, use it for, stones and everything else. And Julia's got one there, and
Yeah, I was just going to grab it so people can see.
yeah.
Mine is a little wonky, but um, it has a lot of sawdust on it. So you can see how these bolts here have angles,
It's a dovetail cleat.
right? So it's a dovetail cleat. And so what's bolted to the front of my bench is something that has the the same shape angle going the other way. And so this just slides down. And the advantage of this system is that you can remove it and put other stuff there. So you can take this off and you can put an item that would hold a ring clamp. You can put a thing that holds your engraver's block or your pitch
soldering station.
Soldering station. It's the sort of modular, kind of idea, which is lovely. But I never take it off. I mean, I actually inherited this one, I think, from someone.
Yeah.
Maybe
well, and it's kind of nice because I mean, with this version, the clamp-on version, I can take it off, slide it out of the way, and I've got pieces that I can adapt and do similar things like with the GRS. The GRS is nice because you can pop it out of the way when you need to and get it, so it's not sticking you in the chest. So that's kind of nice. The other thing that I've got here, and this is a bench block for filing, or filing block, and it's like rubber, so it's like a big rubber eraser, neoprene kind of material, and it acts like a non-skid surface that works really well on the bench block, which I'll show you here in a second. And the other thing, this is my fun tip, is my little vices.
I love those. So, I think those are freaking hilarious.
And these are, so if I need one to go, in line, I can do that. If I want one that goes the other way, I can do that. I didn't have one that swiveled. I needed something small on the bench right away. And I was like, and it was after the hardware store had already closed. And I was like, well, I've got little vices. I just need to and I don't want to stick them to the bench permanently. So doing something like this gives me a way that I can kind of stick it on there, turn it whichever way is going to work for me, and then put it away when I'm done. So I love this thing. So I'm going to switch over here so you guys can see my bench pen and what these guys do here. So, wow, there we go. Yeah. There it is. So so one of the tips that I've got here is, because I've got the bench pen and anvil, and the steel on this is obviously magnetic. Because my bench is like countertop material. It's not a standard wooden bench. So for me, this works really well because I can clamp this right on, right? So I can clamp that on. I can slide in the wooden bench pin. I can slide on my filing block like that. I can slide in Donovan's.
New one.
That way. Slide in Donovan's piece like so. Or I can put in my little vices. There we go. So, and that just screws down and it's nice and tight. So that way I've got my, my different attachments all in one place. So with most people
love your little vices. Did you show them how one goes one way and one goes the other way?
Yes. So with the bench pins in the flat position, this is good for sawing because you don't want things to sort of slide off or move around. And I've got mine set up so that I can do support the piece and have a small area for cutting, so it supports small pieces really well. I've also got this set up so I can do tapers. So I've got kind of a groove cut, tapered groove cut in there. So this kind of locks in, and I can file points and things like for pin stems on those areas. I've also got other little grooves in here for other things that I needed at the moment.
That's actually a really good point, Jennifer, that anybody who does a lot of wire drawing, who draws wire, is going to be using up the point of their bench pin, because the most effective way to file a taper on a piece of wire is to have the angle that you want filed onto your wooden bench pin, and then basically just file the wire against it because it's supported along that narrow
right. So if you've got something that's got a little groove in it like that, you can use your file and just file that in. But this way I can kind of rest my tool here and just file straight across and just turn. And because it's sitting in that groove that's tapered, right? I can just turn this and it'll give me that nice point on that.
Right.
But yeah, for file,
if you're drawing wire, right, you have to file the point on the wire practically every time you pull it through.
Right. And for filing, having this in a position that is down, if I'm filing this direction, I'm filing at the same angle that my bench pin is angled at.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to hit my bench pin. I've got good support. These, I know yours is, or your bench pin or your ring clamp is cut so it fits into the groove. And this one's cut just so that I can get like,
Right. What
yeah,
she's talking about is this,
yeah.
that my bench pin is circumcised, and I just did that with it was like a round, like a chainsaw file, and the purpose of that is so that it kind of locks into the groove on my bench pin, so that it doesn't slide up and down as easily. I also always hold it like this,
Right.
So yeah.
And so mine I can use especially well with this one because it just kind of, locks in
Right.
where I want it to like this.
Yeah.
So this works, really, really well. So whatever, clamper thing you're using for filing, this is a good way to go. And that's what I was going to say about Donovan's. His is kind of the same. It's at that angle. So if I'm
Mhm.
cutting something like, a piece of, wire tubing, it's got that little groove in there for that. And for, being able to rest those pieces in those notches. So this is a nice little prototype that he's working on. For the filing block
to have to go for a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So with the filing block like this one, again, because this is a hard like neoprene rubber here, I can use that to be a little skid resistant. So this is kind of nice when you're filing because it gives you a little bite. And it reduces the vibration of filing too, which is nice. So if I'm filing away, this is absorbing some of that filing, vibration. And because I can kind of press into it and it conforms to my tool, it's nice and soft, I can get some filing done. And then this piece comes out like that, and I can put that into my Hoover and Strong Recycling sweeps box and go. So this is really kind of a nice way to go. This also too is normally one of those things that you would screw right into your bench. It's like a tiny little anvil on top, but this is just, it's so bulky and I don't use it very much that it made it really easy for me to attach it to just a cut off piece of wood bench pin.
Mhm.
Adapt it for that purpose. In fact, this wasn't even a bench pin, it was just a piece of wood that I used for that.
And then you cut the tang in yourself.
So what?
You just cut the tang in yourself.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just it's just cut so that I could get it into the bench pen properly. So yes, so the other one that I've got here, like I said, is the vices, and you could use any kind of permanent mount vise for this, and you could even clamp like a clamp vise, which I didn't have at the time when I made this, so that it just slips in and then I can turn it over because they go in different directions. Some of them swivel and tighten down, but these are really kind of locked into their little shape. So anywho, yeah.
So did you actually, while I was out, did you actually try Donovan's? Did you actually file on Donovan's
bench block? Yeah,
bench pin?
So with Donovan's, let's give it a try here. Yeah. So it clamps onto the bench nicely. I don't have any problem with that. And
I do find that it flexes more than the wooden one, which is probably not ideal for me because mostly what I do is piercing. And so I really don't want it to move. It's less of an issue, I think, if you're filing on something that moves a little bit.
Right.
But for me, and again, as you were saying, like he's more of a stone setter. And so he's created a bench pin that is ideal for that.
Right. Yeah.
But
so if I'm working with something that's in let's see, I'm going to use this one because I know you've got your ring clamp, but I've got a different round one. So this is a 3-jaw chuck, not to be confused with a 2-buck chuck.
Okay, so this is really interesting. I twisted it here. I twisted it around and it isn't flexing as much in one direction as it is in the other.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's a nice filing pin.
So
So if I'm,
interestingly enough, the flat side for me is more sturdy than the angled side.
oh,
So when you get done with your little test there.
yeah. So for me, I mean, I like it because I can, really easily like brace my three jaw chuck in here. This
Mm-hmm.
works really well. And if I'm, trying to gather some of the limmel, I can kind of brush it right into the little negative areas. I know he sort of set this up so you could put like little stones in here and little parts in there as well. So that's really kind of nice. Um, he also set this so that you could use this for if you're doing like ring sizing, um,
Mm-hmm.
which he does a lot of. It's got the little part here on the end
Mm-hmm.
that has the
The
support for the
slit, so
ring
you can just cut into
and
it.
the guide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the support and the guide. And it also has like a filed piece in here so that if you're, filing your shaping stuff, it's got that little groove right here too, which is nice. So I mean, that's kind of nice because you can, hang your stuff on there and cut away. It's also got this little piece. So if you're cutting something like, like tubing, it'll fit right in there and
Mm-hmm.
do that. So yeah, it's a nice little tool. And I know he's still prototyping some of this, and so it doesn't work as well with this one, but it does work well with my other one. So yeah,
Doesn't work as well with which one? What are you talking about?
with this tool, but this one I'm usually using because
Mm-hmm.
it's a little more square with that. But this works great with the rounder tools, and he's using a bench pin or a ring clamp when he's doing
Mm-hmm.
this. So yeah, so if he's like do, good to go. But it is a nice solid hardy resin, so it
Mm-hmm.
feels like it's not going to go anyplace. But yeah, kind of like that it can kind of catch some of your stuff in there. There we go, a little drawer. So yeah, you're using it the other direction.
Yeah, I was just trying to get it
Let's see.
so that it was tight. I think part of what's happening is since the tang isn't as long, it slips out.
Hmm.
I'm not really sure, but in any case, I can show you what you want to see.
Yeah, let's see.
All right. So this is my bench pin here. I get a little higher so you can see it better. Oop, come on, get in line. My document camera is misbehaving. I'm trying to get it to line. Okay. So when I push down on this, it's pretty solid. So that's good because if I'm pushing down on it, I want it, well, it just slipped. So I'm not really sure what is going on with this because when I push it in to this, I can push it all the way in so that it's flush here, but then for some reason it seems to slip. And these are cast iron, and so they're not 100% flat on this side. But what I was finding was it'll push all the way in like this, but then when I attach it to the table, for some reason, it sort of slips out, it seems like.
Oh,
I don't know why. So,
it's like wedging
there's
it
all
out.
this flex in it. Like if you look at it from the side, probably not enough light to see this. It's sort of sticking out from the table here a little bit on the side. And so for some reason, I think that's part of what's causing me some issues. So this side, this amount of flex is, I mean, when you push down on it, it's pretty solid, but I don't know why it's doing that. So yeah, but the
Mine's not. I'm not having an issue.
Obviously I think if I stuck something in here, like if I put, a piece of, grab something this is thicker, I could probably shim it. I mean, my GRS one I have to shim to keep it from moving because it's really important to me that it not move.
Oh yeah.
So if I put something in here, this is a little piece of 10 gauge wire. Now it's a little more stable, right?
Yeah.
So, but it is important that the bench pin not, normally what I really like about this anvil bench pin combo too is that it fits right tight up against the bench on either side. And so it doesn't have side to side motion.
Huh.
as a rule. Though this one is being a little weird right now, but that may just be that I think part of what's happened is that my bench has gotten eaten away underneath here.
Oh, I was going to say mine's a rolled edge countertop.
Right.
And so I think it's just pushing up in the right place on mine underneath. So
Yeah, because I just slid it over. Maybe what I need to do is get some of that putty and fix the underside of my bench because I can feel there's like a notch here where the clamp has bitten into this is just a solid core door.
yeah.
Because this one, where I moved it over a little bit, it's a little more,
Yeah.
I can't move back with this as much because it's
Yeah, I know several people.
But this is a little more stable and you can see there's no gap.
Right.
So I think it might be part of my problem might be user error.
Yeah. The other thing that I've noticed, because we have like hollow core tables at work that we use, and like IKEA tabletops, and so clamping stuff on the edge of something that's like a hollow core door or tabletop, when you're trying to get a clamp on there tight, I've had the clamp pop through the
right,
wood.
Right. Bottom. This is solid core. This is a solid core door, which is my benches are made out of solid core doors, which is a great, inexpensive, 2x4s and solid core doors.
Yeah.
It's a great way to go.
Great work surface.
This is, well, I moved it over to a place where it wasn't quite as, so I'm not sure because there's less of a gap on the sides, but it's still,
I
would probably have to shim it with something.
Donovan, it might need to be a little bit longer.
It might need to be the tang. Having the tang a little longer might be better. The other thing is if the tang were closer to the width.
Oh yeah,
of course, this is going to vary with each one, but the tang is narrower.
Well, and what you can do is put some shims in there as well.
Right. So if I shimmed it, it wouldn't flex as much. So that for sure.
And that's what a lot of people will do with their bench pens. They'll put a couple of like matchbook covers or pieces of like wood or something shims.
Right. So I was going to take something and sort of file on it here for you. Trying to get the focus on here. Looks like a finger, like a little fingernail. Hello, like Adam and in the Sistine Chapel. Hello. Let's see. Well, this is this is a needle file, but this is a very coarse needle file. So if I were filing on here, of course, it's a very small file. Like one of the things let me get a bigger file so that I can do this better. One of the things that I might be doing with a piece of wire like this would be holding it and let's see, there's not really maybe in here. I would be filing across the top of it. I just gouge this to make it flat, and there's not really a good place for that. My bench pen has this, that's what I use it for, for this, so that I can file. So I would need to modify this or cut a notch or something in it. Yeah. That would hold it.
Can you aim down a little bit?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so I was just filing into the plastic. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's solid resin, which I like. The material he's printed this with is really good. So I do appreciate that. I like
this is not the best side to do that on because I'm going to hit the bench pin itself because really what I normally would do is the flat side to do that. Yeah. Sorry, making all this noise. But the wobble in it isn't ideal for me. But as I said, that might just be some issues with the thing I'm using it on, right?
Yeah.
And then my concern too, and I think I mentioned this, I mean, if you're going to have the drawer, having the drawer be reversible, but the problem with having the drawer, because it's like you can see there's, this is a void that goes all the way in here, is that then this part isn't solid. And so that may be contributing some, but I don't think so, actually.
I don't think so, yeah.
I think the flex is all in the tang. So I really would just need to shim it to make sure that it stayed put.
Yeah. And the tang isn't flexing, it's the attachment that's flexing. Yeah.
No, it's actually the plastic itself that's flexing because this isn't flexing.
Right? Well, yeah, but I mean, it's where it's attached. It's not the actual tang. It's not the tang isn't moving itself that much. It's moving within your bench pen.
No, it's actually flexing. So, because one end of the tang is tight onto the bench. So this is actually flexing. Oh, oops.
Whoops. Well, there you go.
Sorry.
There you go.
Yeah. So this was flexing, and then obviously that snapped.
That may be why it was flexing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Sorry, Donovan. Didn't mean to break your thing. So yeah. And probably the thicker. So he had made these thinner for us to, because we wanted them for this type of clamp. So if you had a thicker tang, which would be more normal for a more normal bench pen. Let me see this one here.
Yeah.
This is the GRS
I mean, I
one.
think too, if he was doing these for like a GRS system where they're shorter and wider.
Yeah, this is actually about the same thickness. This is the GRS one, and this is about the same thickness, but it's a lot wider and it's a lot shorter. So you're right. You would have a much longer section here.
Yeah.
Where I would have snapped it off. I'm sorry. I broke the thing.
Well, this is the tang on mine that I use all the time is slightly thicker and slightly longer. Maybe what, 3/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. About 3/8 of an inch longer. And just maybe 2-3 millimeters wider. So mine's a little bit heavier duty, width and length and thickness.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I can see that that's, oops, in the drawer.
Sorry, Donovan. Didn't mean to break it. So nice to send them to us.
It's a prototype, right? So
right, it's a prototype. Better to have it break when it's in the prototype stage before you have made and sold a bunch of them and sent them out into the world, which is why he sent them to us, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Right. That's the whole point, is you want someone to beat on it and see if they can break it. And whoa, look at that. I broke it. Sorry.
I didn't break mine. I like mine.
You didn't break yours.
I mean, I would definitely, put this into rotation as far as one of my bench pens for filing. But yeah, not for sawing, not for stuff like that. But on my bench, it works fine. And with my bench pen, it works fine. I think that the difference may be because the edge of mine is rolled. And so it's got something that's gripping onto it a little bit tighter at that point where yours is slipping.
Right. So mine was flexing because it was, but it was the tang itself that was flexing, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as you said, it was the attachment point. It was right where it was attached to the base.
Yeah. So I was like, mine's not flexing. I'm like, you're like, snap. Oh, well, there you go. That's why yours was flexing. There was a weak spot on yours, evidently. So, but I do like this material that he's working with. I like that. It's far better than like this 3D
print. Yeah, it's nice and solid. I don't know if you
so it's a nice alternative. But is it the big question is it better than wood?
Right, because it's like sometimes you can spend, there are wonderful things that are done in 3D printing, like Michael Nasheff's wonderful containers that, like his saw blade container that has the information on the outside of it about, what size and everything. All that's a great, because you want something that's hollow.
I have a little village of Michael Nasheff's.
You have a little village of Michael Nassif stuff. So, for things that are 3-dimensional and would be hard to form,
a little
that's great, but I'm not sure that something solid is the best use of 3D printing, because it is something that you could shape IRL in real life. Plus it's going to cost you a lot to make the thing, because you're going to have to use up all of that resin. It's like a big solid chunk of resin, and I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, like I said, I think that for what Donovan's using it for, and for what I would use it for, I think it's fine, and kind of cool and clever, and I like the little diamond on it. But yeah, is my go-to going to change? No, it's not. I mean, that's my go-to. And can I change these up for like a couple of bucks? Yeah. And do I have a bunch of them? Yeah. I mean, I've even gotten one. I showed this to you a little bit ago, but it came and I realized it is crooked. So when I
It
put
was
it
cut.
into,
So what was it? It was cut like the top face
so,
is crooked,
so
or what
yeah,
part is
zoom,
crooked?
zoom in here and you can see, um, see how it's twisted? So you can see here, it's like lower on this side and higher
Oh,
on this side.
right.
So it's
Okay.
just, it was
That's
cut,
annoying as all get out.
so it wasn't cut like square, right? So it kind of
Mhm.
goes boink and leans one direction. So when I put it into the bench pin or into the anvil here, device, it's like low on this side and high on this side. So it's got
So,
like a, um,
so it's not level, which is really irritating.
yes, it is. Yeah. So let's see, I'll pull this out so you can see it better. But yeah, it's like, you see,
Oh wow, yeah, that now you can really see that
yeah.
is
So it
not.
really, it's like, So, I mean, normally that would be fine, but you know what? No. Does that make me a little crazy?
Yes.
Yes, it does. I don't like to think that I'm like OCD in any way, but this is
Yeah,
like
but you want it to be
bothersome.
flat, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you want to be able to
yes,
assume that something is level. If you set something
absolutely.
down, it should be flat. Yeah, I
But would that still work if I was doing something like this? Absolutely. If it would it work if I was screwing, some vices or, adapting it in a different way? Sure, yeah. And it was a couple of bucks, so it's not a big deal. Um, if I was doing something like that, it wouldn't matter if it was tipped a little bit,
right,
It just
right.
doesn't matter at all. So yeah, but yeah, I one of the local metalsmiths here in town, Kevin Crane, who is a
Mhm.
master goldsmith, um, has did a talk for the Seattle Metals Guild some years ago, and one of the things he talked about was uh, the consumable part of bench pins and wooden ring clamps. And so he's got a drawer full of wooden ring clamps that he uses for different jobs and different purposes. That he can, like, some of them like fit in like yours does, that has the ring around the top. Some of them are filed flat across the top or cut flat across the top for setting stones in. So he has like a number of different ring clamps that have been
Mhm, mhm.
adapted for different things, as well as a drawer full of bench
Bench
pins.
pins, right?
So these are things that you can use in different ways. You don't have to have one bench pin that does it all. They're very inexpensive. It's nice to have a couple of different ones. And if you've got one, that's kind of a favorite, you can, do what, they do down in Tacoma, suck out
Mhm.
that, Lemel that's in there, fill it with a little bit of wood putty and keep going. So make those things last. So there you go.
Awesome.
There you go. Yeah. And I think that with, oops, there we go. I'm going to leave meeting on that one. So I think that those can be, there's all kinds of ones that work that are, the clamp on, the GRS version, the screw on clampy do for people that are, not doing a whole lot of filing work and they're doing a lot of sawing. They may just like the one that, like the C clamp that has the hole in it, and those work for them. That's great. You use
Yeah, yeah. I have one of those that I would, loan if I had students, if I were doing an away class and I had students who didn't have a bench pen.
Yeah, or have a bench and you can use it on a tabletop, any kind of tabletop. So, there's a lot of versatility with those tools. There's a lot of adaptability with those tools, and you just have to kind of like, find one that works for you or adapt it so it works for you. This one is actually designed so that it has like a spring attachment that goes in and it helps like hold the metal down.
Oh,
That's just in the way. So I took it off.
I've seen those, and I like piercing, and I like to just hold it because I'm moving the metal all the
Yeah,
time.
me too.
Right? It's like
Yeah,
I'm not moving this. I'm moving both the saw and the metal, so it's like
right.
it's dance,
Yeah.
right? Everything is going around. It's dance. Yeah.
So some of the bench pins that are designed to screw into the bench are great for like the shorter tang bench pins. Um, and the GRS is a shorter tang bench pin as well. So Yeah, I mean, you find the one that works best for you, and and go with that. Try out a couple. It's like you said, like trying out beds. You have to kind of like have to
Yeah, yeah.
use it
But I
and
mean,
see how it
fortunately,
works.
since they are wood, you can adjust them and change them and make them your
Absolutely.
own,
Yeah.
exactly the way you want them to be.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So yay.
Well,
Well, what's
Donovan, thank you so much for sending us your bench pin, and I'm sorry I broke it. Um, Jennifer will get more use out
good
of
to know.
hers.
I will. I will. I will. Absolutely. Um, so yes, thank you very much. We'll put a link to Donovan's thing and check him out on Instagram. He does some lovely work and some really cool videos and tips and tricks on his Instagram channel. So be sure to check him out. Um, Also, too, shout out to Michael Nassif and his 3D
Nash Chef,
Nassif. Sorry,
Nash Chef
Nassif
with a SCH.
chef and his 3D printed tool accessories.
Mm-hmm.
Love them.
Yeah,
So
they're not
yeah,
cheap, but they're nice.
they're not expensive actually. I mean, this thing, the boar,
Mm-hmm.
this revolutionized my world. I love this thing because I tried so many ways to find like things to hold drill bits that were like that made sense, and none of them did. I ended up poking myself, accidentally dumping them out all over the place. You name it, And this is the only thing I've ever found that has, that one has information right there. Two, I can see in there to see what I've got. They don't all fall out. I just, yeah, love it. I love that
I
thing.
know. I mean, I use mechanical pencil lead. I use the little things that hold mechanical pencil leads. Is what I use to hold my drill bits. But you're right. Then I have one of, then they're not in an order, and they're just in a Altoids tin or something. And
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. It's like I went through like a series of, things that didn't work. And I'm like, this is clever. This will be great. These test tubes look cool, or whatever. And, yeah, whatever. But that thing is great. And one of the other things, just another shout out, is um, that the bottom inside of this is the right height for that drill bit.
oh, that's right, because some of them are really tiny, and so they would just fall down below the window. Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, the windows are plasticed over so that you can see
Mm-hmm.
in. But the thing is, you can't take like a number, 51 and put
Mm-hmm.
it into like the 80 hole because it'll stick out the top. So
Right,
you know
right,
that it's too big for that spot.
right.
And
But
there
this is an
are,
example of why 3D printing was great for this, because
yeah,
he could change the interior profile of those cells really easily,
yeah.
relatively speaking, with a 3D printer. The way it would be much more difficult if you were constructing that,
Oh my
fabricating
God.
that, or if
Yeah.
you were, you know, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's those
Absolutely.
are very cool.
Yeah.
So
That is worth every single penny. And in my opinion, that is a steal for what I paid for it. So I'm like, how does he do it? That's amazing. Yeah. So for the money and for what it is, yeah, it's
yeah,
well worth the money. So
fair.
if you have drill bits all over the place, people get one of those.
Or,
Yeah, and Michael's awesome. So we love him.
uh,
So anywho, yeah, 3D printing and tools and accessories and stuff, it's definitely got a place. But yeah, not all of them are, going to be the quality that you want necessarily. And test them out and see. Test it out and see.
right.
And if you've got a 3D printer, try it out. Try out your brilliant brainchild of an idea.
I
And
think I'll stick with my wooden one. I
yeah,
like the wooden one. It
my
doesn't
wooden one's better.
flex.
Yeah. Anywho, thank you, Julia. So we've got a couple of classes coming up. I'm sitting here playing with all my Mitsuru parts at the moment because I've just got those just came back from casting, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yep,
playing
I've
with
been
those.
playing with my filework rings. These are my
Those
rings
are
that I.
so beautiful, so beautiful. I love them. We've also got the steel plate etching class coming up of yours.
Yes, we
That's going to be
do have
awesome.
that. That's coming up next week.
Got
So
a
yeah,
bunch of stone setting classes that are coming up.
I'm gonna do the cut card ring again. I just added that one.
Right.
It's
Yep.
the slot ring.
Yep. And I've got the
Um,
bezels and the bezels made easy. which bezels, people, are hard. Don't, just because you took it in intro and they made you do one then does not mean it was easy. And you know what I'm talking about, because it was like, it didn't work. I melted the edge. I couldn't get the whole thing soldered down. It was too thin for the stone. The back, it melted completely, bezels. It's like, help me help you. Take the bezel class. Let me help you make those bezels better and help you make them look professional rather than like your second grade pencil bezel. So they're hard, they really are hard. And if you don't know what you don't know, right? And then when somebody's like, use thicker fine silver for your bezel, people are like, do they make that? And it's like, no, you can make that. Yes, they do make it. They call it sheet. Cut that.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah. So yeah. So there's a lot of
go check out our new class listings on the website. I know. So the Tooltip Tuesday videos, it's like they persist, and so we probably shouldn't spend a ton of time talking about upcoming classes because that will not be relevant.
Right. Yeah.
So go to the website littlemetalfoxes.com, click on the tab that says classes, and you'll see all the current upcoming classes. Open Studio has been a real favorite. Please join us. It's a wonderful community of students, and we periodically get other instructors drop in as guests to answer questions and stuff, which has been really fun.
And and I gotta say, that's, I think, the best deal going, because basically it's like 2 hours of private instruction and you get like a month's worth of tutoring for what you would usually pay for like 2 hours of mentoring.
Right.
And there are some amazing people that are working at all levels in that class that have
Well, it's not a class. Not a class.
No, but there's so many people working in that open studio that it really is like crowdsourcing information for what you're working on. And
I learn stuff all the time.
Me too. Yeah. Annie is just,
I know. And well, there Annie, Valerie, Tracy, there are a number of people in there, Tanya, who have a lot of experience and have tried lots of different techniques and have lots of different tools. I end up having to buy tools sometimes,
or books. So it's like exactly. Have you seen this new book, or did you see that book?
And we have a Padlet. So we have a Padlet board, which is like a virtual bulletin board, so that people can post links.
I like to think of it as the community center.
It's like the community center, but that persists, and that we've had that same Padlet since we started doing Open Studio back in June. So there's a ton of information on there with things that people have said. I'm working on this, and I have this question, or here's this tool that I really like, or whatever.
Right. So
if you sign up for Open Studio, you'll be able to see the posts on the Padlet going back to June of last year.
Right. And if you sign up for if you sign up for 3 months or more, you end up getting a discount,
an automatic 15% discount. You just put them in your shopping cart. Just put 3 or more Open Studio classes, products in your shopping cart, and it will automatically take off. They have to all be in the shopping cart at the same time. That is the one thing. Like if you buy one and you come back and buy 2, you aren't going to get the deal. You have to
earn points. You can earn points that get you free classes. You can refer friends that get you big discounts. You can sign up for the newsletter, which also has discounts and tips and things on it too. So there's all kinds of ways that we have resources. We want to make it accessible, affordable, and sharing as much information as we can with some of the best people that we can get. So
which are our students. We have the best students.
We do. They're awesome. All right, Julia, thanks so much. I'll see you next week for Tooltip Tuesday. And you guys check out all the tooltips. We've got probably 120 now here on the YouTube channel.
It's more than that. You've been very diligent about the tooltips. So
over 120 at this point. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of them, and be sure to like, subscribe, and ding the bell, and that way if we are live, and you can ask us questions and see what's happening. And speaking of which, Valerie, hey Valerie, we love you. So speaking of Valerie Connerway, yay, she's awesome. So we do have students from all over the place. They are in, this last weekend I had somebody from France, I had somebody from Chicago, California, Georgia, just from all over. So it's kind of nice because there were people, we started this with, during COVID, because everybody was in isolation. And then we realized with our classes that there were a lot of people that were already in cultural isolation wherever they were because they just didn't have access to classes easily.
Yeah.
So we really wanted to make this accessible, affordable, and help make a community for people that didn't have one. So
come and join us. It's a great community.
absolutely.
We have a good time. We love going down like rabbit holes and discussing stuff and coming up with solutions, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Trying new
It's a lot
stuff.
of fun, but the classes in general are fun. So give us a try. Give us a try. You will not be disappointed, I guarantee.
You will not.
You will not. Because we're cute, we're fun, and informative. You cannot beat that with a stick. Yes.
All right, people. Thanks a lot. And join us next week. We will see you later. I'll see you later on. Julia, have a good